I can make it there. I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. New York Mets, New York Yankees really enduring just some hard times right now. Some of the worst times, the worst time of their respective seasons. Gonna hit on that. Donte DiVincenzo potentially back to the New York Knicks. It's something that has been spoken on recently with conflicting reports. Do want to hit on that too. My man Daniel Nunez, how you doing, boss? What's going on, bro? How's everything going on for you out in Cali? You hit me this morning. Yeah, Game 7 NBA Finals tomorrow night. Daniel, what's your opinion? How do you think the NBA Finals plays out and culminates tomorrow in Game 7? I'm going to start there since I got you hanging with me. Going to give you a chance to chime in on that. That's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm actually in the truck right now. Uh, kind of struggled getting out of bed today. My lady's got some health things going on, so she's actually been in the ER since yesterday. So, I spent some time with her out there yesterday, so a little short on sleep. Well, you're doing better than me, Daniel, with that because I picked the Thunder in 6, and obviously that's not happening. Um, it's been storybook. It's truly been storybook what the Indiana Pacers have been able to do this year. For a while, it looked like the storybook was with my New York Knicks, but Tyrese Halliburton, personally, I didn't think he was going to be effective or even play in Game 6. Ultimately, they win the game, and McConnell's just been huge off the bench. Rick Carlisle, proving his worth, as a player. He was part of some of those great Celtic teams as a coach. He's won elsewhere, now trying to do it with Indy, bringing them their first world title. Of course, the Pacers originally from the ABA. Yeah, Daniel, I talked about this the other day on my show with Idris about how Tyrese Halliburton is similar a certain metric as guys like Magic Johnson, Ben Wallace, Dennis Rodman, to name a few, that he does not need to score to influence the outcome of games. Now, granted, he's right around the 20-point threshold for the season, but the way he fills out the stat sheet and the intangibles is huge. Of course, SGA going to have something to say about that. I think we're in for a classic, Daniel. It's been a hot minute since we had a meaningful Game 7 like this. If I'm not mistaken, last time I believe was when the Cleveland Cavaliers came back from 3-1 to defeat the greatest regular season NBA team of all time, the Golden State Warriors. That undeniably LeBron James's biggest achievement in the NBA, in my opinion. Yeah, man. Yeah. While we keep it on the NBA, I do want to speak on this. As many of you know, Kevin Durant is all over NBA news as he's going to be joining somebody in the near future. You know, there's been reports that he was interested in the Knicks. The Knicks are not interested in him, so that kind of disqualifies the Knicks out of the equation. But, Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, Minnesota Timberwolves, among a few. Thank you for that, Daniel. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. She's where she needs to be. That's the main thing. So, yeah, keep that in God's hands, and we hope for the best. That's all we could ever do. But Kevin Durant, there are rumors that if the Knicks are to reacquire Donte DiVincenzo, they might put their name in the Durant deal in terms of being a third team to facilitate a situation where DiVincenzo comes back to New York. And it's interesting because, the Knicks had a great season. They got close. But a lot of NBA analysts have said that the Knicks lost their swagger, and they feel that DiVincenzo was a huge part of that, their swagger and their toughness. And, last year, DiVincenzo had some big-time moments. The Knicks, that game-winning three against Philly was massive, and although in a losing effort last year, Game 7 in the second round had the best Knicks point output in that game. But I would be more than thrilled to have Donte DiVincenzo back because I think the Knicks definitely need more scoring in terms of beyond the arc. And it would be interesting to see how the Knicks navigate their bench versus their starters and if DiVincenzo would be less unhappy if he was still on the bench because part of his displeasure with Minnesota has been coming off the bench. He was kind of thrust into the starting lineup in last season with the Knicks due to injuries. But I would have to think that he would get his fair share of minutes. Of course, the Knicks are still trying to figure out who's going to be their next head coach. Nah, bro. Nobody wants to go to Philly right now. Not in basketball, anyway. The Lakers? I don't see it. New ownership, you never know, but I don't see it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he wants to play with LeBron James. I really don't. I see San Antonio or Minnesota. I think Minnesota is the team. I think Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo could be getting moved in 2 consecutive off seasons to different teams. But I think this could be a situation where you get a 3 or 4 team deal because there's going to be a lot of supporting players that are going to be involved in various parts of this deal. At least I think so. I wouldn't count out Miami, given that they're going to have some room for a max contract, being that they allowed Jimmy Butler out there. Jimmy Butler, of course, was traded to the Warriors. So we'll see, bro. We shall see. Tempers flaring in the Dodgers Padres series, as Mr. Nunez would call them, the Madres. What are your thoughts on Suarez being suspended? Of course, he's trying to appeal that. I saw the video footage in a 3-0 count. If you're going to try to sell to the umpire and to MLB that you're not trying to purposely hit somebody, you don't hit a guy on a 3-0 count above the shoulders, and that's what happened. I give Shohei Ohtani credit for keeping his composure, keeping his cool, and trying to defuse a bad situation. But there's no question about it. It was pure frustration in the moment, and he should be suspended. Those are the rules. I know that some people are still on the wrong side of feelings, so to speak, with Ohtani in terms of the gambling situation that he was kind of cleared of, but former friend is looking at prison time. But, Shohei Ohtani right next to Aaron Judge, the 2 brightest stars in all of Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball is going to protect their stars. That's nothing new. And there's no place for that in the game. There's certain unwritten rules in Major League Baseball, but Suarez broke that. No question about it. 3-0 count, you don't hit the guy. And when you look at the release point, you look at just all of it, he was definitely aiming for Ohtani, no question about it. Yeah, I'm with you, Nunez. I'm with you. And you know I don't have no love for your Dodgers, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And that was wrong. You know, you could hurt somebody. I remember years ago, Armando Benitez drilled Tino Martinez right in the back. That was one of the biggest, if not the most memorable brawl I've ever seen in my lifetime watching Major League Baseball. Darryl Strawberry famously knocked Armando Benitez across the head in the Yankee dugout. That was a wild scene in the Bronx. And a lot of people feel that that was one of the moments that galvanized the Yankees championship season where they really came together. And of course, that was year one of what ultimately became a dynasty. What your Dodgers got cooking right now is something that could mirror similarly to what the Yankees did in the 90s and early 2000s. The Dodgers definitely have the staying power to potentially have a dynasty. And, speaking of the Dodgers, you can't really talk about them much without mentioning the San Francisco Giants, as yesterday Rafael Devers playing his former team. I think it's interesting, Nunez, that Devers is so comfortable with doing whatever the team asks of him, as that was a big issue in Boston. But I think his departure from Boston, both sides are guilty to a level. I understand Devers' point about him feeling that he did enough and he shouldn't be asked to do more in terms of what he had already done for the organization. However, it seems that he's happy where he is right now. The Giants are obviously a World Series contender right next to your Dodgers, one of the most rich and great rivalries in MLB. Orwin Clemens. I got mixed feelings on Clemens Ramirez. There was a lot that led up to that. And of course, we got Pedro hitting Soriano and Derek Jeter. That was a crazy game, for lack of a better word. Crazy times. Red Sox and Yankees was must-see TV back then. Speaking of the Yankees, 7 out of 8 losing right now. And I beg to question, should the New York Yankees consider moving on from Aaron Boone? Well, I wouldn't think that you were going to say you do foresee it. But it'll definitely be worth watching. I personally thought that the Mets match up best with the Dodgers. But right now, the Mets are in a bad place. But New York Yankees, right now, it looks like guys are tired. Aaron Judge experiencing his first genuine slump of the season. Granted, he's still hitting in the 360s. Yankees blow a lead yesterday. In the Mets case, it was a competitive game going into the 6th. And bad fielding, just not crisp baseball, as Pete Alonso said, all the way around the board, led to a monster inning for the Phillies. And the Mets, for the first time in about 8 weeks, do not have a share of first place. So definitely potentially panic button time. And I think what's going on with the Mets, Nunez, is that although the starting pitching has been good in terms of ERA, they're not going deep into games. And you're looking at what a tired bullpen looks like. In the Yankees case, I think it's more about, unfortunately, the slump bug in terms of offense hitting the entire lineup at one time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm not concerned about the Yankees. Of course I am. And the Rays are playing such great ball. You know, they went into Queens, swept the New York Mets. Yesterday, they lit up your former pitcher, Jack Flaherty. And right now, leading a series against the Detroit Tigers, who have the best record in the American League and are undeniably a World Series contender. You know, A.J. Hinch, a guy that I really don't care for because of his shenanigans in Houston. One thing I must admit, he is a hell of a manager, and he's doing a wonderful job with the Tigers. A couple of things that I'd like to see my Yankees do. Got to figure out a destination for Marcus Stroman. I just don't see him fitting into the plans. And with the huge raise that he was due if he would have hit an inning threshold, which is not going to happen because he's only pitched 9 innings this year, I think you're going to have more suitors potentially in the National League that are going to be looking for some veteran help. So I do think the Yankees could rid themselves of Marcus Stroman. One pitcher I would love to have, not quite sure if it can come to fruition, but I would absolutely love to have Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have consistently always had trouble keeping stars, and if I'm the New York Yankees, I am doing everything I have to do to try to get him. A consolation prize, if you want to upgrade your pitching rotation, could potentially be reigning National League Cy Young Award winner Chris Sale. I have to imagine that the Atlanta Braves will be sellers at the deadline, given the unexpected poor season that they're having. It's a two-team race in the National League East, and it's the Mets and the Phillies. In the American League East, you got to give credit to the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a team that year in and year out has limited resources, but yet they are doing everything in their power to stick around. And it's a testament to the great coaching of Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash, year in and year out, always deserving of consideration for American League Manager of the Year. But I'll be honest, Nunez, I would not be completely opposed if this slump continues for another week or so, if the Yankees rock the boat and potentially move on from Aaron Boone. I understand that in Major League Baseball, players have to do it. We saw this with the Philadelphia Phillies a few years back. Former Yankee manager Joe Girardi was fired, and the Phillies ended up winning the pennant after they fired him. I think the Yankees have enough to go back to the Fall Classic and play either your team or the Phillies or the Giants or the Mets. I think the Yankees have enough to get there. But what I don't like right now is that the Yankees need to figure out a more effective lineup. I feel that Aaron Judge just doesn't get enough in terms of what his overall value could be, because teams are going to be in a position where they can pitch around him when other guys are not hitting. It's going to be interesting. Another name that I want to mention to you that the Yankees should, at minimum, be interested in is Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies. Piss poor team, guys having a pretty good year, and you bring a guy like that in, you could put Jazz Chisholm back at second base where he's most comfortable. Anthony Volpe, I'll be honest, he's been disappointing. Peraza has been disappointing. Shortstop is another situation that the Yankees got to figure. So who you got in the Fall Classic? I know you're going to pick your Dodgers. Who you got in the American League? You got the Tigers coming out, or somebody that we don't see coming? Dodgers and Rays? Pandemic rematch? I still have a lot of faith in my Yankees. I'm not going to let a bad week and a half deter me from what's been a pretty good season. And they all count. That's why getting off to good starts in April and May matter, because when you have slumps like this, you can overcome it. And I imagine that the Yankees will be active at the trade deadline. I like our pen. I think Devin Williams has recovered rather well since getting demoted. Luke Weaver just came back yesterday. Jonathan Loaisiga, a guy that I have a lot of confidence in. But I would like to see the Yankees get one more starter if the opportunity presents itself, and I already named two guys. Peralta's at the top of my list. But I would be thrilled, truly thrilled, if the Yankees are able to get either he or Chris Sale. And, of course, don't forget, reigning American League Rookie of the Year, Luis Gil, is on the mend, and he should be back soon as well. But my issue, for the most part, is not with the Yankee rotation. But, and, of course, Stroman gone. That goes without saying. That was a bad acquisition. It's been proven. Well, interestingly enough, Daniel, that was actually my World Series prediction going into the year. I predicted the Astros and the Tigers, the Astros are proving that they're not exactly the team they used to be, but I still give them a lot of respect when the postseason comes around. I did not have my Yankees getting there this year, mainly because of the injury to Cole. But, I also didn't have Rodon pitching as well as he has this year. I think Rodon's done a great job. I think Max Fried is a bona fide ace. That's why I look forward to when Cole gets back healthy. Having he and Fried as the 1-2 is going to be pretty devastating, and you hope that Luis Heel can mimic some of what he was. Opportunity. Daniel, you guys aren't the only team in Major League Baseball. You won the World Series last year. You guys have done a lot of losing in the postseason, too. And despite beating us 4-1, you do realize that you only outscored us in that series by one single run. Of course, we can forever revisit game one, how that swung the momentum. When you get Shohei Ohtani out on one pitch out of the pen, Aaron Boone once again making a boo-boo. Should have never pitched to Freddie Freeman. You take your chances against Mookie Betts. Nestor Cortez, former Yankee, never gave up a hit to Mookie Betts. That's one of those head scratchers that will forever be ingrained in my mind. But you think everybody's going to the Dodgers? Are they going to get Abdul Carter? Is Shador going to go there? Does Tom Brady still want to play baseball? I'm just messing with you. But yeah, the Dodgers do have that ability to pretty much get anybody they want. It's similar to what the Yankees had in the 90s, but this is even bigger. And the pipeline for Japanese talent has basically been directed to Chavez Ravine. No question about it. Shohei has that kind of pull where other Japanese greats coming into the States want to play with him. Once upon a time, the New York Yankees seemed to always be first when it came to Japanese talent. Going back to Hideki Irabu, Kei Agawa, Hideki Matsui, Masahiro Tanaka, to name some. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I don't overreact during slumps, but I do sometimes question if the direction is correct. And I would not be upset if the New York Yankees decided to move on from Aaron Boone. Do you keep it in-house? Do you promote your third base coach, former Met manager, Luis Rojas, to manager? Something to think about. Something to definitely think about. But announcements to come from my next show, NBA Finals Game 7 tomorrow. My prediction is the home team is going to finish the deal. Oklahoma City Thunder 122, Indiana Pacers 117 is my final score. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Also make it a point to check out the Casual Convo Show every Wednesday night, 8 to 10, where my co-host Idris Salam and the beautiful Coco talk about all of it, the world, entertainment, just spilling the tea, talk about social issues, just pretty much everything on the spec these guys talk about. Also, make sure to check out my man, Johnny Nast, on the Sports Corner, as well as the Basement Show with Mr. Nast. He is the guy that does my intro videos. Definitely appreciate him. We consider him a friend and always trying to look out to help one another. And I spoke to him recently, so we're going to be doing a dual collaboration, putting both our shows together for a big show in the near future. And just looking forward to seeing how the second half of the baseball season plays out. I am crossing my fingers that the Knicks bring back the big ragu. I would love to see the Nova guys back together again. Most importantly, I would like to see the New York Knicks hire a coach. I question the logic in the way that they went about it. But, what's done is done, and now the Knicks have to figure it out from here. A lot of pressure being applied on the players moving forward now because the players were part of the reason why Tom Thibodeau did get fired. So it's not going to be an easy situation for whoever the new coach is, because when you have the best season that you've had in basically 2 decades and a half, got a lot to prove now. And this is a team expected to win. They are close. They are very, very close. And with Jason Tatum probably not being right for next year either, this is the window for the Knicks to do it. Of course, Indiana, and Cleveland have to be accounted for. Have a great day, everyone. Announcements to come from my next show. Take care.